Welcome to Featured Artists Live, a weekly show to discuss and listen to your music. With help from my other YouTuber buddies, we hope to give you words of encouragement, guidance, or simply just enjoy your wonderful creations. I'd like to thank our sponsor, DistroKid, all of the wonderful artists, and all of you for watching. Now, let's get on with the show. Hi folks, I'm Mike and I hope you're well. Wow, it's Christmas Eve here in Perth in Western Australia, and I can tell you I am heading for a hot day for a hot show. Yes, we're heading for 40 degrees centigrade. If you still work in Fahrenheit, that's 104 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's actually one of the cooler days that we have set up for the next 4 or 5 days. So yeah, wish me well. I'll just grab my camera. Unusually, I have a fan running in the studio. Normally, of course, because of noise issues, I don't have fans and aircon running, but hopefully the gate that I have on the microphone is working. Welcome to those of you in the live chat. Great to see you here, and I guess a lot of you are here because you may be interested in what's going to happen in this show, because it's a little bit different to other shows. Normally on this show, if you're not familiar, we have a listen to some music from the community, and myself and my guests offer some critique, and sometimes that is just, oh yeah, awesome piece of music, wonderful, and sometimes it's also like, hey, maybe this or that could be worked upon. Well, what I've decided to do, because we've had, hundreds of submissions for this series so far from you fine folk, and we've actually featured, in my notes here I can see this, we've actually featured 58 songs so far. So if you were one of the 58, then you already achieved something pretty amazing just by getting picked, because I say there are a lot of submissions. And the 10 that we're going to listen to today, there's nothing scientific about this. I haven't done a survey or anything like this. This is just my favourite 10. So I had to listen to a lot of songs, and these are the ones that really just struck me as the most memorable ones. So if you submitted a song and yours is not in the top 10, don't be hurt, because it's just personal opinion. It's my personal opinion. Very self-indulgent show in that way, but that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do, and have some fun for Christmas. As I say, wonderful to see lots of you here in the chat already joining me today. Really nice to see you as usual. I'll just say hello to a few of you. We have Ironweed Studios. Nice to see you here. We have a regular here, and I never know how to say your username, but I think it's just Wi-Fi, isn't it? We'll just go for that. And I think I've asked you before. I'm not very good at that sort of stuff. Happy Ron, nice to see you here. Happy Ron, a good old friend of the channel. Always nice to check out his YouTube clips, by the way. There's some great music in there. We have Raymond from Northern Ireland, and I think he may have had 1 or 2 drinks as well, he was saying earlier on in the chat. So I hope you can keep it together, Raymond. But always good to see you here as well. Of course, the wonderful Mimo Japan. A big special thanks actually to Mimo Japan, who is here almost every week, is our moderator, takes part wonderfully, and also is a really big active person in my Cakewalk group on Facebook as well. Thank you so much, man, for everything you've done this year. Very much appreciated. Also, big appreciations to Doug, who is here as well. Big supporter of the channel. Always nice to see Doug around, and always a great pleasure. And I know that this is not too bad a time of the day for Doug. However, he may be hitting some bad weather. So if you don't manage to hang in there, Doug, I hope you manage to keep safe throughout this. A couple more I'm just going to say hi to, because this is going to be a longer show with 10 songs to look at. Well, actually 11 songs. I didn't mention this yet, but I've chosen another song. I'm going to play it right at this little sort of bonus track, if you like. Hi to Joe. I know it's late over there, Joe. Wonderful to see you. And to anyone who's not able to hang in for the course for the whole show, that's absolutely fine. I understand. Busy time of year. But I'm glad that you've been here at all. Nice to see you. And finally, let me just jump in and say randomly hi to Midnight Midnight Blue movies. Nice to see you here, and you are absolutely right. Mimo is super helpful. So I must say thank you to my sponsor, DistroKid. We'll be talking about them a little bit during the show. If you haven't signed up for DistroKid yet, you can follow the link up. You can see this one up above here, but also follow the link in the description, and you'll get 7% off of their regular price, which is $19.99 for a year. And I get a small cut from that myself. Doesn't affect your price at all. So thank you very much if you go ahead and do that. I will be saying hello again to people in the chat, but if you're watching on the replay, do remember to say hi in the comments down there as well. So moving on about this show, as I say, I'm going to go through my favorite 10, which will be very, very interesting, I think, for some of you, what my picks are. And the great thing is that for some of these songs, they're in stereo on this show for the first time. If you're not familiar with the history, quite a few of the first few episodes had to be in mono because of technical difficulties with the provider I was using. I managed to solve that issue by changing provider a few episodes ago now. So some of these songs were originally heard on the show in mono, so it's really great to be able to hear them in stereo. Now, normally I have my wonderful guests here, but they're not here today in person, but they will be here a little bit in spirit, because as I play each song, at the end of each song, I will play some snippets of comments we had from the guests at the time. And interestingly enough, they're not always praise. These are my 10 favourite songs. They may not be their 10 favourite songs, and I thought it'd be interesting to include a few comments here and there where my guests felt that these songs, although they were great, still had some issues. So there you go. So we will be hearing from those people, and I would like to say thank you to those people as well, my guests, being Ed Thorne, Marlon from White Noise Studio, Pete Johns, Jade Starr, Ricky T. Brown, Dan the Lonely Rocker, Chris from Mixdown Online, and XLO, submitted much more recent guests on the show. Thank you so much to my guests. They give their time regularly, and they always, put their heart and soul into listening to the songs and giving their really valuable comments. So I appreciate that very much. So let's get started, shall we? Let's get started with my top 10. As I say, a completely personal choice of mine. Songs that stuck in my head. Some of these songs, I found myself singing them again in the shower or what have you, and that sort of counts for a lot for me. So we're going to start off with number 10. Now, this song was not actually recorded in a DAW, a D-A-W, at all. Instead, it was actually recorded on a Korg D8 digital recorder using an unknown PV condenser microphone. There's just vocals, a couple of vocals, I think, and guitar. Very little in this song. It's a very simple song. And the reason I've included it is because it's a great song, but it's also a great example of keeping things simple. Now, let me know what you think in the live chat. Hi to people again in the live chat. Let me know what you guys think, and girls, about the songs that I'm playing. Would they be in your top 10? Can you remember other songs from the series that you think should have been included? Let's see your comments there. And Doug already knows what I'm going to play here, so let's go ahead and play it.
10.
His eyes, I got his name. My grandpa, that ain't all he gave. And it was summertime, came hoes kicking up dust down some gravel road. A bottle of Coke when the road gets old, back porch sitting when the sun gets low. John Deere cap and a half a grin, a checkerboard and he'd let me win. Bluegrass playing on the radio, Grandma's cooking and it's all homegrown. And it was summertime, came hoes kicking up dust down some gravel road. A bottle of Coke when the road gets old, back porch sit said, boy, you're gonna fall. He was right, I guess I learned. Get exactly what you earn. And it was summertime, cane poles kicking up dust down some gravel road. A bottle of Coke when the road gets old. Back porch sitting when the sun gets low. I was 21 when Grandma called, said he's gone, he's left us all. My time comes and I cross that line, know it's gonna be summertime. Gonna be summertime, cane poles kicking up dust down some gravel road. A bottle of Coke when the road gets old. Back porch sitting when the sun gets low. Summertime, cane poles kicking up dust down some gravel road. A bottle of Coke when the road gets old. Back porch sitting when the sun gets low.
Oh
Ricky.
man,
Oh.
I've got to say, I just love that from top to bottom. What a writer, and the performance as well, man. It was all of it was there. Um, and it's just proof that you know the whole music scene, you're driven towards collecting technology and all of that, and that Korg D8 did its job in capturing that lovely performance and that great song by Doug. We should have heard of him already. In all honesty, it was fantastic.
I think it's a lovely song. I think, to me, songwriting is the process in capturing the sincerity of an artist. So either you're truly sincere or you're good at creating the feeling of sincerity. One or the other.
Yeah.
And I felt sincerity in that track. Man and his guitar. Even a thing like, I don't know if it was on purpose or it was just a limitation of production, is that harmony was sort of sitting right behind. It was just there that you could, it wasn't like panned differently or it was like trying to be this other vocal. It was like squashed right into the main vocal, hiding behind just this little soft voice behind the main vocal. And I found myself listening for it at once. It's like, is it a female? Is it him? I definitely think it was him. But I liked it. It just had this really interesting effect. A song where, the chord progression has probably been used a million times before. There's nothing original about the chord progression, but he has the ability to tell a story, and it just captured, in essence, there's a warmth to the track. Yeah, it's simple. There's not a lot in there. So in terms of mixing it, there's not much to mix, but it sounded good. It felt good. And like I said, it great delivery.
Okay, so thanks very much to the guest comments. I'm reminded there of how great my guests are. Ricky has such a great reaction to music on a very emotional way. You can really tell that he's hit by the emotion of a song, and he was there. And Dan also has some great insights. I should remind you all that the guests that you see in the clips here, there are links for their YouTube channels down in the description. So I highly recommend that you follow those links after the show is finished. And it's a really interesting song, really heartfelt. And if I'm honest, that's the most important thing to me when I'm listening to music. It has to touch me emotionally. However, it's not always the case. Sometimes there is music where it should have some emotion there, but there's something really interesting going on technically or because of the skill of the player. And whilst I do generally like to react just emotionally to music, of course, as a musician, as an engineer, etc., it's really interesting when people push the boundaries a little bit of the technical side of music. And that is true for the next piece of music, which is coming up. This really, really struck me. This piece of music was unusual in terms of the submissions that I got because of the time signature. First of all, it's in 7/4, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 1 2 3 4. It really, it's just really nice when you play with unusual time signatures. At times, gets the listener sort of off guard, and also it was very limited in terms of this one's very limited in terms of the instrumentation used. It's just got some vocals. It's got drums and trumpet, maybe a smattering of some virtual instruments. So that's a really unusual arrangement. But it struck me that as unusual as this piece of music is, which is coming up at number 9, that it's still very, what I call palatable, still very listenable. Still very engaging. It's not just sort of like weird for the sake of it. We were talking about, people were talking about age in the chat here. I think we've got everything from a 16 to a 60-year-old in here, and I'm much closer to the bigger numbers there. So this one, I think our first submission there from Gary, he's of a similar age group to me, but this is from a much younger person, Aaron Stanton. I would love to be able to pronounce the title of this, but I think I'll just leave that up to my little intro here. Let's have a listen to this piece from Aaron.
9.
I made 0 notes because I couldn't stop watching and listening and trying to find the beat and trying to work out what was happening next. So yeah, I think it was very apt and accurate for you to say, is this 4.5 minutes that are going to keep you intrigued and enthralled? And yes, 100% yes, because I love unique meters. I love unique time signatures. I love mix. One of the coolest things about that was that it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, but occasionally the one, what felt like the one, would come in on the 7, and then it would leave you feeling a bit uneasy, but in a really good way, and then it would resolve itself again. So it was like a constant feeling of anxiety, but in the best possible way. Does that make any sense at all? It felt like it was like when you're trying to catch your breath and you can't quite get there, and you're just wondering what's going to happen next. So I actually loved it. Like I said, I normally make notes when I'm doing things like this. All I said was, I love the claps, that had in the middle there, and then at the end, to end on that, was just a beautiful like callback to what he did there. Right. And the combination of the vocals and the horns and the drums worked absolutely perfectly, and I actually loved it. So
do you know what? As soon as the track started, I completely forgot you'd said it was in 7/4, and I didn't notice. I didn't feel like it was an odd time, which for me is a great indication of good writing in odd times. Because when you can hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, when you're forced to be aware of it, I think that's where people can go wrong. But this was so well done.
Thanks to Pete and Ed for their comments there, and I have to agree, it was really well done. And I know that Aaron feels like he's just kind of starting out, and he was really pleased to be picked for the show. It's good to see, and I just want to definitely encourage that creativity. It may not be your bag to do unusual time signatures and things, and I personally don't normally do it, but I just love to see other people just pushing boundaries a little bit. And again, I think his point where he restricted himself to just the sort of 2 or 3 to 3 instruments that he normally plays, it made for a really interesting result. So excellent stuff there. Now, in terms of number 8, we have something much more contemporary. We had quite a few rock songs submitted during the first part of this series. And there was lots of really, really good ones, to be honest with you. The next one, though, I chose for number 8 because I felt that it was just like a whole package. The music itself was just very, very well produced. The song itself was good. I thought this was just a good rocker. And also, well, interestingly, the video was good, but we were just talking about the video, weren't we, in the chat? Lots of people were saying with Aaron's video that we just played, it was really, really good. And definitely in this day and age, it helps if you can make some kind of a video to go along with your music. That's just the times we live in. If you're trying to spread your music on social media, then you'll find that much more people are going to listen to or follow a YouTube link and watch it than, unfortunately, something like a SoundCloud link or something. It's just the way it is. So it's good if you can make some kind of a video. But interestingly, with this song coming up, they created the video, which I think looks quite good, with just one camera, like a DSLR camera, and using the lights from their mobile phone. They didn't even have any proper lighting. So, be inspired by that. Go simple if you have to. You can really make things work. But a bit of a video can definitely help to promote your music. Now, this song was recorded in Cubase, and it also is an example of a song where everything in it was real. No virtual instruments in this, all real amps recorded with microphones. And as I say, very simple video recorded on a DSLR with their lights from their mobile phones. So this is from Temple Avenue, and it was from episode 5 all that time ago. So this is the first time for us to listen to it in stereo, and this is my number 8 pick.
8.
someone's calling, someone's calling. Hey, when I'm slipping away, the wrong place to victim. When I got nothing to say, I need a passenger. You want it all. Your truth is compromised, castrate me now, and wish me well. Someone's calling, someone's calling, someone's calling. Yeah, someone's calling, someone's calling, someone's calling. Hey, when I'm slipping away, the fragile claims its weakness. When I have nothing to say, I need a passenger. I need a passenger. Oh. When I'm slipping away, the wrong place to victim. When I got nothing to say, I need a passenger. I need a passenger. I need a passenger.
Did they call me a little bitch in the first line of that song? I was a bit
They
distracted
did.
by that. I'm like,
There
"Oh, you're a
was
little bitch."
there was something about someone being a little bitch, and I guess the song was about his dog or something. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Look, I get distracted. Look, I say this because I do a similar show, as you know, Mike, and whenever someone plays some straightforward power chorded guitar rock, they get a leave pass from me for anything else because I can't stop paying attention and just start like headbanging and moshing
Yeah, well,
along to
that-
it. So
yeah.
it makes it hard to be super critical of anything that they did. But what I liked in there, I loved the drums. The drums did
I
enough, but not too
know,
much.
yeah.
If you listen to the hi-hat going through in the between, like between the verses and the chorus, there's just some nice little movement in there. The halftime at the end, that did it for me in a big bad way. Loved that. They're like Nickelback, but good. That's what I'll say to them. They're like the best Canadian rock band, but actually good. Sorry, I had to say that because Dan's here with us.
I've only got 3 words to say:
Yeah.
rock and roll. Honestly, we get into so many discussions about process, right? Because that's just the nature of music today. You know, it's real instruments. Well, congratulations, it's real instruments. You know, what happened to good old rock and roll, where a bunch of friends just get together and just hit you hard with some real good rock and roll music? I mean, it's such a human thing. You know, I mean, like, I grew up listening to rock music, and you know, our biggest debates were whether we like bass players that play with their fingers or a pick, right? Both cases, they were playing their instruments, right? So no debate. So what I loved about it, it's just good rock and roll. I had a bit of a 90s vibe in the verse, but then it sort of opened up with those big choruses, and I got a little goosebumps there. I just felt the energy, and the singer, I got a kudos to the singer. I mean, that's often the weak link with rock bands that are doing it the right way, is finding the right singer. And I don't focus on vocals as much because I'm a guitar player, but I have to say that is the intangible that sets most rock bands apart from other rock bands. And I think it makes these guys a complete package.
Absolutely, I thought that was a complete package, and that was number. Oh, where are we? That was number. I've got to check. Number 8. Number 7 is going to be a song or a piece of music which has no real instruments in it at all. So we're going to go to the other extreme. I love both worlds. But the next one coming up is going to be something which, controversially for Dan, who's often on the show, is something with entirely virtual instruments. But before we get to that and talk about that, I'm just going to put up a quick word from my sponsor here, DistroKid. As I said, say, if you haven't signed up for DistroKid, if you follow the link above, it's going to take you to a page with a big yellow stripe across the top. And there's a good reason for that, and I'll tell you about it now. So if you do follow the link in the description down below, it's going to take you to a special page on DistroKid with this yellow banner at the top. That banner is letting you know that you're going to get a further 7% discount off your first year if you sign up here. And let's face it, it's already very cheap. If we scroll down, we can see that a year's membership is $19.99 per year for an unlimited number of albums and songs. And so long as it's your own music, there are no extra charges, and you get to keep all of the royalties from the various platforms. Platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, Pandora, Amazon, Instagram, Tidal, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and more. Just a quick hi to the Lily Pillies who are in the chat. They were on the show, I think last week, was it? Lily Pillies, that you were on the show. Nice to see you here, a band from Australia, from Sydney, or sort of half from Sydney, half from Italy. Is my memory good, or what? Not bad for an old fella. Anyway, I did promise you that we were going to talk about now a song in at number 7 for me, or a piece of music, I should say, rather than a song, which is using entirely virtual instruments. This is a song from Carrie Tibor, and it was recorded in Cubase. We seem to be overrepresented, don't we, by Cubase in this? But I promise you, there's quite a lot of Cakewalk songs if you're a Cakewalk fan. And as I say, entirely recorded with virtual instruments using Kontakt libraries. If you are not a Kontakt user, then I highly recommend that it's something you should head towards. It's not cheap. Look, let's get that out of the way. Can be a little bit expensive for a lot of people, but once you get Kontakt, it opens up this world of really high quality sample libraries, in my opinion anyway. Not just the ones that come from Native Instruments themselves, a whole bunch of free ones, and a whole bunch of commercial ones which are really good quality. These ones coming up in this particular song were mostly from a company I hadn't heard of at the time and have still yet to really get into them yet, but it's called the Experimenter Project. So there's a bunch of sort of mostly classical style instruments in there. So let's have a listen to this. This is an instrumental. It's called Tango Ballet? I don't know what accent I've got now. Tango Ballet from Carrie Tibor.
7.
Yeah, it was a really nice. It was a really nice piece of music. I mean, this kind of cinematic, um, you know, cinematic genre kind of thing. You know, that's something that I'm very much into. Um, so I could hear straight away. You know, I thought the video actually really worked well with it. It's worth mentioning.
Mm-hmm.
It was all fine for me, except for it was the way that the piano part that was EQ'd. It was just a little bit too present. I mean, I'm not sure whether it was a case of volume or the EQing, but it could have been, it could have sat back further in the mix because there wasn't actually a lot else going on while it was doing what it was doing other than the strings. So if I were gonna mix that, that would probably be something that I would look at. So okay, let's pull that piano back.
And I know we razz me a lot about my feelings on VSTs. It's more about the performance. Now, if this artist is performing all of that using VSTs, I mean, it's a marvelous piece of music. Lots of music, a lot of dynamics. Definitely, it's a cinematic piece. I think you know, music that's written for film exists to coexist with visuals, right? And how often do we listen to cinematic music without visual? Almost never.
Sure.
Right? So in that sense, it worked well together.
I'm reminded by the fact here, and I'm guessing, I don't know this for sure, I'm guessing that looking at Ricky's comments there, that he may not have picked this for his top 10 if he was given the choice. He may have done, may not. But I'm reminded of the fact that isn't music just this wonderful thing where we each get to have our own opinions? If we all like the same thing, or we all agreed that every mix was perfect, then what a boring world we would live in. Music would not wouldn't be worth it if we all agreed. So I happen to agree with Ricky on this occasion. Perhaps the piano was a little harsh, but you know what? Here's the interesting thing. And there's been a little bit of discussion going on here in the live chat about songwriting, that if a piece is emotive, and we know this, of course, but if it's emotive and it can reach people, even slight issues with a mix won't matter too much. That's my opinion anyway, even though we are striving for some sort of perfection in our production and mixes. I will touch more upon that a little bit later as we get towards some of the songs which I've ranked a little higher than these towards the end of this top 10. But I think it's interesting to keep that in mind. That again, this is my personal top 10, and you know, you may or may not agree with it, but I think that's what makes it so wonderful. Now, the next piece of music that I've got in at number 6 is here for this reason. First of all, I think it's a great representation of what you can do at home in terms of recording. For me, this sounds very, very polished, very finished. Now, I will say that the composer, who is Brad Peterson, did employ the services of a video maker. So I don't think he made the video. Certainly he didn't appear in the video. So he's hired actors, and it's a very well polished video, I have to say. And of course that may influence you as you're watching. But I happen to think that the music itself is very, very polished and well done. Now, the reason I say that is because Brad is really just recording at home. He's converted a shed in the garden to his recording studio. And I'm not going to give you a whole list of his equipment here, but I know amongst some of his equipment, there was some old equipment, there was some newish equipment, but nothing was outside of what's attainable for most of us in terms of gear that you can use and the situation that he was in. So I think this is, again, so this is from Brad Peterson, A Friend Like You. It's from episode 7, so I think we had to listen to it in mono originally. But as I said, I think it's a great representation of what you can achieve now in these wonderful times with a home recording studio.
6.
story and you act unkindly and malign me. Though at first I was discouraged, eventually it gave the courage to realize. It opened up my eyes. I didn't see, but now I do. With enemies, who needs a friend like you? Who needs a friend like you? A friend like you. Rumors of my death inflated, dramatized and overstated, spread about parts of the town. Knives were twisted and lessons learned. My back was stabbed and some bridges burned. Way to kick a fella when he's down. I didn't see, but now I do. With enemies, who needs a friend like you? Who needs a friend like you? Who needs a friend like I didn't see, but now I do. With enemies, who needs a friend like you? I didn't see, but now I do. With enemies, who needs a friend like you? I didn't see, but now I do. With enemies, who needs a friend like you? Who needs a friend like you? Who needs a friend like you?
I love the video. They sitting on top of the chair instantly caught my attention. That was brave.
Did you get reading the book while she was driving? I was like, oh, you shouldn't be reading while you're driving.
Well, it's documented now. The police will see that. So overall, I really like the vocal performance on this, and I love the harmonies at the beginning. I felt like they were a fraction too loud in comparison to the rest of the mix, and then obviously they came around again for the chorus, which is, I love that as a simple chorus. You've got like a storytelling verse, and then just ooze, just notes for the chorus. It's brave to do that. It's brave to do that and not feel like you need to say more lyrically. Well done for taking that decision, because I really like that.
Yeah, I just have to say there was a lot of ukulele in the video for what's
A song which didn't have any ukulele in it. That's very true.
Well, I was too busy making notes and not watching the video. But yeah, good.
Yeah. I agree with Ed on most parts. I really liked the vocal. I got a real Chris Ria vibe from the vocal.
Oh, really? Wow.
There's the same rasp and the same tonality, although it did sound like Brad and not like Chris, but it has the same vibe going for it. And because of that vibe, or because he has that vocal, he really has a nice, authentic voice. I would put up his voice more in front in the mix. That also has to do with that delay everyone mentions. It's way too loud. I would even... The song could really be even better without that delay. Maybe just a little reverb, a very small tap-like delay instead of this one, which filled the entire spectrum. It's really not needed. The voice is great. Put it up front. It really can carry the entire song.
So there you go. Marlon there expressing his opinion. I thought that I had to include the bit about the ukulele. Obviously, there was no ukulele in the song, I don't think, but there was plenty in the video. artistic license, I guess. I don't know where Marlon was coming from. Marlon, if you watch this show, what are you thinking about Chris Rea? I don't think it sounded anything like Chris Rea, but anyway, I guess we all hear things a little differently there. But yeah, great example, I think, there of what can be done in a home studio. That should inspire all of us. It was just very, very well done. I don't think it's all about equipment. I think that there is a lot to be said, though, for experience and I don't want to say skills, but yeah, there's skills involved, there's taste involved, and there's just doing it a lot. So if you are just starting out with this, don't be too disappointed if you don't achieve these kinds of results in your first few tries. It does take time and experience to get to that sort of level, I believe, anyway. Now, the next song which we've got coming up, I introduced at the time, this was back in episode 6. Again, I think this was probably in mono at the time. I introduced this at the time as I sort of warns people, I guess, that this was of a genre of music which you don't hear a lot of on commercial radio, etc. This was a genre of music which back in perhaps the mid to late 70s, even early 80s, was very, very popular and has, these days it's not cool. However, some things just stand the test of time or it doesn't matter whether they're in fashion or not. Some pieces of music are just very well written, very well performed, etc. And I know that for my guests on the show at the time, when I played this song, they were really, really moved by it. And we spoke about it after the show. And they were saying, wow, that song just grabbed me, and did it for me. So the song itself is fairly simple and straightforward in terms of its arrangement and its recording. It was written, and we've been talking about songwriting a little bit in the chat here, and there's so much to say about songwriting. I personally prefer songs which have feel like they have an authentic story, something which makes me believe that the artist has really lived this moment in the story or something like that anyway, or they've got a value or an individual comment to make about something. So this is very much a personal sort of song. This was a song which was written for the artist's wife after they'd been married for 47 years. And I think it does a great job of expressing some of the depth and emotions of that relationship. And in terms, I don't really want to give you too much technical information. It was recorded in Cakewalk, and the artist Will Kruger has been using Cakewalk since the late 90s. So he's got a little bit of experience there in using Cakewalk. But I think this is not really about doors or technology or anything else. This is about what I consider to be a great song. So let's have a listen to Will Kruger, and the song is called Blessed Are the Days.
5.
Can I touch you gently, whisper in your ear, and steal away your fears that weigh upon you? Can I hold you tightly now and wrap you in my arms, shield you from the storms that may surround you? For I know that in the time that passes, I will love you more, and blessed are the days we have in store. Can I hold your hand now as we walk on through this life, and never lose our sight to what's before us? Love's a wondrous journey in a tapestry of time, a rich and fragrant wine to toast between us. And I know that in the time that passes, I will love you more. And blessed are the days we have in store. Searching through the photographs of younger days and years, the laughter and the tears and distant memories. You have been the sun that shines so brightly in my life, a best friend and a wife this man could ask for. And I know that in the time that passes, I will love you more. Blessed are the days we have, we'll be blessed each day we have, and blessed are the days we have in store.
Beautiful song, really beautiful song. I think, I mean, I try and listen to everything because, you know, my appearance may draw you elsewhere. However, I listen to everything, and I felt that I could appreciate that song for what it was, and beautifully sung, beautifully arranged. Yeah. And that song did its job.
I fell in love with that song immediately. Great arrangement, fantastic song development, fantastic melodic development. It was so complete, and someone's literally just said that as well in the chat. And I was just thinking, oh, it needs strings, and then I heard a little cello coming in, and I was like, this guy is an experienced songwriter. With a writing style that is mature and, you know, just so well-rounded. I wish I could write a song like this.
I don't mind telling you, I've heard that song a few times now. Obviously, this is the second time playing, and just the tears were coming to my eyes a little bit, just especially the part of the video which has got the old photographs of his wife and him together there. Just very, very moving. Wonderful stuff. I just love that part of music. Mimo was just asking in there, and I think I wanted the same thing as I was putting this together. What's wrong with Ricky's sound? You know what, Mimo? I think often I need to chat with Ricky about this. Even though he's got the microphone plugged in, we're actually hearing the microphone which is on his laptop rather than from the actual microphone itself. We must have an intervention with Ricky about this at some point, I think. But yeah, what a great song there by Will. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And somebody mentioned, I'm sorry I don't remember who it was, somebody in the comments there mentioned an old artist. I haven't even thought about this artist for years, and that is Burl Ives. Burl Ives, such... wow, that was a blast from the past when I saw that name. I remember my parents and probably my dad, I think, listening to Burl Ives when I was a kid. And I totally agree. I can totally understand why you would mention that name. So Very much enjoyed that song. We are going to hear from my sponsor, DistroKid, briefly. And the reason I'm going to play this particular clip is if you haven't released music before digitally to all of those platforms and things, you may think it's a complex process where you have to sign up for all these different services and things. You don't. If you sign up for DistroKid and distribute your music through them, those, Spotify, iTunes, and all that, you won't have to open accounts with those. That's all done for you. It's very easy to do. Let's have a look at the little clip about that. If you want to release your music via DistroKid, there's just a couple of things you need. First of all, the music itself. Here's mine in my DAW Cakewalk, and I'm exporting it to an uncompressed WAV file for best results. Now, the other thing you'll need is some artwork. I just grabbed an old photo which I'd taken on the beach, chucked on some text here, and that's what I call art. Then I went over to DistroKid and I just have to fill in this extra easy form. It's a no-brainer form. You get helped all the way through with little hints and things. You can't really do anything wrong. You just go ahead and confirm a few things about your music, and then you just have to actually upload the artwork and the song itself, and DistroKid takes care of the rest. It's going to send it out to all of the best platforms so that people can hear and buy your music. Yes, indeed. So do follow the link just up above here, or the link in the description if you want to have a go at using DistroKid. Just a little comment here from the chat here. I hope I get your name correct. It's Herlefe? I'm not sure. I've waited 1.5 years for the 100k subscribers party. Is it finally happening? Yeah, actually, I'm already started to plan what's happening for the 100k subscribers celebration, and let's just say giveaway, big giveaway, many big giveaways is what I'm planning at the moment to give something back to you guys so that you can get something cool for my 100k celebration, which will be coming up, I guess, early-ish in 2022. And it's been quite a journey for me, an amazing journey for the last 3 years. I started from absolutely zero. I didn't even tell my family and friends about this channel when I started, because I thought, well, most of them, don't really record home, so I didn't want to have sort of fake subscriber numbers or anything like that. So, I think for those of you who think about doing this type of thing, I think it took me 6 weeks to get to my first 100 subscribers, just so you know. It's just been an absolute pleasure, I have to say. Anyway, I'm preempting it. I don't want to curse it. Maybe I'll never get there now. Who knows? So, look, we're moving into my top 4 now. I must say just before I do say that, see you, Joe. Merry Christmas to you, and have a wonderful New Year. Thanks for hanging in after a bottle of wine and 1 a.m. I know. Catch the replay later, Joe, because you're going to miss this top 4, which is really, just some of my favourite music that I've heard over this last few months. So this number 4 is an example to me, again, of very little equipment, what you can do with very little equipment. It's a little bit sort of a move, this one. So if you want to get in the mood for Christmas and get all happy, I think this one could help to get you there. It's from a group called Reed Savage, and it's called Camden Girls. It's way back from episode 2. It was originally heard here in mono. Now it's going to be in stereo. They're using a very old copy of Cubase, I think Cubase 5 for this. And I've never got to the bottom of this, but what they describe as a Toys R Us keyboard. I'm guessing they mean either literally a Toys R Us keyboard. I didn't know if they made any with MIDI on them, or just a very sort of cheap sort of keyboard. 1 guitar, 1 dynamic microphone, probably something like an SM58. If you're a live performer, you'll be very, very familiar with an SM58. As much as I talk about gear, and I'm very blessed to have some quite nice gear in my studio, and I've got nothing against people wanting to improve their gear, to improve their sound. That's fantastic. But don't forget, you can still make great music with a very small amount of gear. So let's have to listen to this song. And as I say, if you feel like dancing, I know I probably will be. This is Reed Savage and Camden Girls.
4.
shorty boy climbing Mount Pleasant. It's a long dive down to Evershore Street. It's a long drive down. It's a long drive down. It's a long drive down. You don't steal a glance. The Camden girl, you don't stand a chance. Oh, Camden girl, it's cheap and easy when you're rich and tough. You never been by to see boy enough. She got the soul on a roll, kicking the dog boy. Look at her smoking on the lip of the canal. You only ever see that day your hair like that in the light. Go land the prince and roll off the slings of the slow-mo stack heels roll. Did you see that stroll? Oh yeah, I have seen that stroll. I've seen the glance. Camden girl, you don't stand a chance. Oh, Camden girl, look cheap and easy when you're rich and tough. Never been by to see boy enough. I'm a something with an earring. I'm traveling on the make. Gonna see me on your TV. Don't care how long it takes. Right? The Camden girl. All those Camden girls. Did you see that stroll? Never be bad to see boy enough. Never be bad to see boy enough. All those Camden girls. But that's not enough.
That was a jam. That was a bop. I dug it. Yeah, the vocals in that one just drove it home. I'm a huge Beck fan, and I don't know what people think about like comparing things to things, but Beck released an album in '99 called Midnight Vultures, which I'm in love with, and that took me all the way back to '99 to pre 9/11 to pre millennial, just like fun time, funky. Just the way that the lead vocal with the backing vocal, the call and response, the vocal, and then I love that style. It almost borrows from the 70s where you had like a vocal line and then a guitar lick, and then a vocal line and then a guitar lick. And I don't know, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, it had a great Rolling Stones vibe. I thought that was good fun. It was a really good summer track. I can imagine listening to that cruising through Camden, which I guess the video was doing, which was quite well. I mean, I was quite struck by Mike's dancing in the video. That was good fun.
Indeed, Ed Thorne. Leave the humour to me, mate. Yeah, good stuff there. That's got me all happy for Christmas, and it's getting warm here. I've got to tell you, it's getting warm in the studio, even though I've got a fan on. Looking forward to the aircon, but we are getting into the final three. Now, I'm reminded there, listen to Camden Girls there by Reed Savage, that what makes songs, get beyond just good songs to more great songs, which I think the last sort of three are to me. Yes, we want good songwriting, don't we? That's one thing. That's a part of the ingredient. We want to have the basic abilities to play our instruments and to be able to sing and all those kinds of things. Then what a lot of Creative Source is all about is then, learning the skills in a studio environment to get the best sounds that we can. That is by use of the equipment, by use of the plugins, by techniques that you may or may not have thought of, by processes, all of those things. And I've got to tell you, that's a lifelong learning experience. But what really makes certain songs kind of rise to the top, I guess, a little bit above some others, is then performance. On top of all that, when you've got all of those, all of those ducks in place, finally does someone perform. And I know with that song that we just listened to from Reed Savage, Camden Girls, that I know that in their notes, I remember they talked about the fact that they really felt that the vocal performance was something they focused on. They recorded it many, many, many times until they got it right, until they felt it was the right vocal performance. And I think a lot of people got that from that song. I mean, of course, the instrumentation was brilliant, very funky and all that. But if it hadn't had that vocal to sort of finish off the delivery, then it wouldn't have been such a great pick, in my opinion. Now, the number 3, it does have a good performance in it. I think everybody involved in this band that I'm about to play you play their instruments really, really well. I liked the performance of the vocalist in this. It's not so out there and upfront, but I just thought it was well done. This song was recorded completely live by this band. It was recorded with Cubase. There's no overdubs, what have you. Now, the video itself is made to look live, but the video, I think, was recorded afterwards. But the actual session, the music that you'll hear, was recorded live. That presents a few issues. First of all, everybody's got to get their part kind of right, yeah? Second of all, you need to sort of, I don't know, you probably need to grab this in not too many takes, for it to work. Otherwise, you're going to lose the energy of the song if you're just recording it over and over again. And also, there's going to be a lot of spill in the microphone, so you're not going to get so much separation, so your audio might not be quite so pristine. And you're not going to be able to do things like sort of adding using Melodyne and things like that to correct pitch on things. So recording live may seem like an easy thing in your mind, but if you've ever tried it, you'll know that it can be quite tricky. So I think that this band, who are called Soveres, they're from episode 5 here. They played a song called Slow Down. I think they did a really great job here. I love the sound. I love the style of music. And this is how it goes.
3.
Take those old shoes off. We don't have to talk about it. I can tell it's been a tiring day. Oh, whoa, pull it out your head and forget what they said. Grab a coffee, listen to the rain. Oh, whoa, work to live, not live to work. You only cause yourself more pain and hurt. Slow down, you're going too fast. You gotta get back and just relax before you know it. Everything will be alright. Take time to breathe it in. All the beauty we're surrounded with. You don't know what you got until it's gone. Yeah, so come on home. Come on home. Yeah, come on home. I don't wanna fight. By the other night, we both got a plate that's far too full. Whoa, work to live, not live to work. You only cause yourself more pain and hurt. Slow down, you're going too fast. You gotta get back and just relax before you know it. Everything will be alright. Take time to breathe it in. All the beauty we're surrounded with. Don't know you gotta get back and just relax before you know it. Everything will be alright. Take time to breathe it in. All the beauty we're surrounded with. Don't know what you got until it's gone. Yes, come on. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on. Yeah, come on. Come on. Yeah, come on.
Number one, they're great musicians. If they're live, I mean, it's tight. The bass player, drums, right in the pocket, good melodies. I love the singing, nice, tasteful guitar playing. It's all there. It's just very roomy, right? So it's a very live sounding production. And the fact that it is live makes it even more impressive, but the average listener won't necessarily know that.
I was grooving. I was grooving like a minute after it finished. Like I love that beat. I love that tempo. I love that rhythm. It was really good. But yeah, love the rhythm of that. Guitar tones were awesome. Like the guitar licks that you had in there was sort of a nice jangly rhythm that worked really well. Video production was good. Vocals were on point. If that was one take of vocals, I could not do that take of vocals. That was solid.
Absolutely. I mean, very, very difficult to pull off. But at the same time, you know, I think if you're a vocalist especially, but it applies to all instrumentalists as well, your most perfect take in terms of the musical correctness of your performance is not necessarily your best take here. I do like something called vocal comping. I've got some videos on it. If you don't know what it is, it's basically the process of recording several takes of a vocal and then picking the best takes of those. So I do it on a phrase by phrase basis normally. Don't go overboard if you try that technique, by the way. Just maybe 3 or 4 takes is all you need. You don't need to record 10 takes to do this. But what I find is what I'm often looking for when I'm trying to pick the takes, and if it's a vocalist who's pretty good at what they do, then a lot of those takes will actually be very, very similar. But what I'm looking for often is the little so-called imperfections, the little growl in the voice, the little bit of a slightly different phrasing that was, it could be anything, but something that has emotion expressed in the vocal performance is what I'm looking for. And so that's what a band gets when they play live. They get that moment where they're all sort of linking up with each other. There's that synergy happening with them. And although the mix and the performance may not be perfect technically, we capture that energy that they get. Someone mentioned that in the comments there, that they felt because it was a live performance, it had a great energy. So yeah, it's definitely something worth having a go at if you've never really tried to capture a properly live performance. But do be aware that it's not going to be the easy route, because you're going to have to spend a lot of time, especially in microphone placement, that kind of thing, getting it just right before you really perform. So experience does count for a lot there. And if you haven't got experience, start getting it by trying it right away. And you will learn the more often you do these things. We're getting into the top 2, but I must remind you that in fact I have a bonus track which I'm going to play afterwards. Okay, so if we get to the number 1 song and either you don't want to listen to it all the way through, or you listen to it and then you're going to disappear, just hang in a little bit longer towards the end of the show, where I have that little bonus song for you. Number 2, number 2 doesn't really have a especially specific reason for why I chose this. I guess I could say I just liked it a lot. I remember hearing it for the first time. It was submitted and I was listening to a lot of songs. And for the first, 5 or 10 seconds of this piece of music, I was like frowning, like, what's going on here? What's this all about? Right? And then as I got into it, I was like, oh, well, this is great. I really like this a lot. So there's more. I mean, the production is fantastic on this, I think, but it's really about the song and the music and the performance. As I said, performance is key for especially this top 4 here for me. And I sort of thought it's a bit unusual, and Susie was in the other room, and she likes much more mainstream music than me. I don't mind a bit of the unusual, but she likes very mainstream music. So I thought I'll go and test on her. And I said, have a listen to this. What do you reckon? And she immediately went, "Oh, this is great. I love it." So so this is really mine and Susie's pick, I guess you could say. It's a song which was from as late as episode 15, so I think it probably was in stereo. And it's great that it's still in stereo. It deserves to be. And it's got a bit of a story behind it. It was about a local clown who was mysteriously appearing in the songwriter's neighborhood, and he ended up giving this clown a nickname of Gags. So the song is called Gags, and that's why it's called Gags. And the idea of it, from the beginning, from the explanation of Dave Sweeney, who wrote this, was that he wanted to capture the mood of or with the music, capture the mood and the theme of the character Gags in this. Now he created this piece of music after he watched my series, which was called Record, Mix, Release, and this is a series that I made maybe 2 years or so, or so now, 2 years ago or so, and I thought, well, let's show people how to record a song right from scratch, all the way through to actually releasing it. So if you haven't checked out my Record, Mix, Release series, Mimo might even find a link for the playlist. It'd be great if you did that, Mimo. Then you may be inspired to follow that after you listen to this song from Dave Sweeney, as I say, called Gags, and get ready to funk again, because this should get your feet tapping just a little bit.
2.
He's got things to say. He's got demons free. He's walk around clown now, creep around clown now, yeah. He's got people to creep. He's a one hell of a pig. He's top of the town now, the clown with the frown now. Woo! You took away all that was good and found some new work, creeping the hood. Please go back home. So why must you only come out at night? Your love for the light was crushed by the night. So go back.
this is my initial reaction. Instantly, the song worked. I really, really liked it. Right from the intro, that mood, right? The mood he sets with the sample mood. It's a bit of a Supertramp meets musical song for me. Vibe-wise, of course, that used and the way he sings. On this, I think it's an excellent song.
I love this. Yes, this is a circus theme. I was thinking Psycho Circus by Kiss kind of vibes. It fits the story of this guy dressing up as a clown and wandering around Mike's neighborhood. Might even be Mike. And then I thought, I'm so glad Mike's changed platforms to restream, because hearing that in mono would have been atrocious.
So true, Ed. Now, I'm going to say, beware. Just beware a little bit, because there's an old man's comment coming up now. So, some of you younger folk may groan your head as I get all boomer on you. But lots of comments there about this sounding like Supertramp. And once in a while, I've got a Supertramp on my Spotify playlist, and if I'm doing something, I'll have that on. I mean, I was never a huge Supertramp fan back in the day. They were a little bit before my time, believe it or not. But whenever I listen to Supertramp music, it reminds me of how wonderfully unusual, surprising, maybe even complex mainstream music used to be. Now I'm emphasizing mainstream. I know that people make really interesting music now. That's no doubt. You've got to find it though. I don't think the radio is playing the most interesting music at the moment, and I don't think the charts represent the most interesting music at the moment. But that's the thing. Back then, this kind of music was in the charts. Everybody listened to it. It was like top 10 music. Things with tempo changes, with time signature changes, with key signature changes, with rich harmony, with rich production. Things that took you by surprise. Things that make you go, "Oh, didn't expect that to happen." Yeah, that's my old man rant. But that people have talked about Supertramp, and that's. Definitely the way I feel about that. I'm also going to, while I quickly just tee up the number one song just ready here, I'll just pull up a comment we've got here from Kianra. Must say, with all of today's music, I'll have to add them to my playlist. Totally enjoying today's show. Well done. Thank you. My pleasure, Kianra. And by the way, I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I may even see you down the shopping centre later. In actual fact, I do maybe have to pop into the post office later, but I've got to say, that after the show today, I will be much later, towards this evening. I have a fishing trip planned. I'm going to be away from all of the festivities. I'm going to be here on the Swan River, here in Perth, with my wonderful partner Susie, and just relaxing, kicking back, and having a really nice time. And before we get on to the number one song, which I've picked here, I do wish you all a very happy and safe Christmas and New Year. Thank you all so much for the support that you show me. It's overwhelming at times. Sometimes, the wonderful positive comments you give me, I don't even know how to respond, honestly. Sometimes I just say thank you, whereas I'm in my mind, I'm going, wow, that's so kind of that person. So really, a massive thank you, because this will be the last show for 2021, and it couldn't be more heartfelt from my point of view. This channel, Creative Source, has literally changed my life, opened doorways for me, and just made my everyday existence incredibly pleasurable. I love what I do, and I love the fact that you guys enjoy what I do as well. It's a massive thing. Now, the number one song that I've picked here, and I will just quickly remind you, there's another piece of music being played after this, but the number one song that I'm going to play here is, when I was thinking about doing this, when I was thinking I'm going to do a top 10, this was the first song that I thought of. That's the way it is with these kinds of things. It was sort of a no-brainer to me that I knew that this would be my number one pick. And I have to say that for those of you who have submitted songs to me and perhaps feeling a little bit disappointed that you weren't in the top 10, as I say, this is a taste thing, okay? So this is not about your abilities, and this doesn't mean because I didn't pick your song in the top 10 that other people won't absolutely love and adore your music as their number one. That's the nature of music. But for the rest of it, it was much more difficult. There could have been so many other songs that could have been in this top 10, especially when I was picking those sort of number 8, 9, 10 songs. I was like, oh, there's actually this song and this song. And I was thinking, oh, I need a top 20 really. 'Cause, you know, there was a lot of great music that we listened to, myself and my wonderful guests. But this one just stood out to me because it's got everything. Well, in some ways, people may say it hasn't got everything because it's not a vocal, which is a classically sort of perfect vocal anyway. It's not. This is about performance. The recording is done well. There's a combination of acoustic and virtual instruments in there. The songwriting for me, I guess, is where it's at. And I don't often talk about this on the show. I enjoy production. I enjoy the technical side. I enjoy the skill set. I enjoy playing. I enjoy performing. All of that. But for me, songwriting is just the most wonderful thing to be able to explore and do and improve upon. I don't talk about it much on the channel because I almost don't know where to start with songwriting. I mean, I think it's something that you can, I don't think if you can learn. I mean, I think some people have natural ability, but you can get better at it, and you do get better at it the more you do it. But someone was asking right at the beginning of the show, can I make some videos about songwriting? And I'm like, where do I start? And who am I to tell you about songwriting? Because I don't know that I'm a great songwriter at all, but I do love doing it. I enjoy doing it very, very much. And I know the person who is the number one pick here loves doing it. It's kind of what they specialize in my opinion. And right away, as soon as I played this song, which was in the first episode of this series, me and my guests on the show, who are Ricky T. Brown and Dan the Lonely Rocker. Nice to see you here in the chat, by the way, Dan. I know right away, and as we talked about this song after the show, we were like, yeah, that was just really an amazing song. And just quickly, I agree here with Danny in the chat who's saying Get Back to learn songwriting. What was really interesting, wasn't it, Danny, was that there's a sort of mystique about Lennon McCartney especially, and that's wonderful. But I thought that the documentary actually showed that they worked hard at it as well. It wasn't all just fell together just like that. They had to, really work at songs to get the right lyrics, to get the right feel, to get the right arrangement. So, just don't forget that also, as much as we all have some talent in different areas, hard work is extremely important. Anyway, I waffle on. As I say, don't forget to hang around for the actual final piece of music of the show. But I'm now going to play this song, which came about as a response to the artists working in a men's group where people were learning to find a softer side of themselves. And this song definitely conveys that message, in my opinion. It's from Happy Ron, who I don't know if he is here, I can see in the chat. Congratulations, Happy Ron. I think this is just a classic song, in my opinion. It's called Even the Hardest Heart. And here it goes now. This is my number one pick.
1.
Everyone heads out to find their path in a life so full of storms. But we're not so tough that we've outgrown the road that leads us back home. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace. And the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. We try to stay the same until we see all our children need us to do, and the truth shines bright in their eyes. We must grow so they can too. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart. Some build a wall they can't get around, that they want us to help them break through. For no one hides without needing to be found by the warmth that they once knew. Even the hardest heart will sometimes skip a beat when the world turns right side up and everything seems at peace, and the smallest crack can start to let in a little spark, even in the hardest heart.
I think this was a very heartfelt song. Came from the soul. Someone wrote a song, laid it down, and gave it to us to listen to. And I like the honesty of that. But it felt very honest and sincere. Just some dude with a guitar wrote a song, and I think that's a timeless relationship.
That was a great example of just delivering something in the most simple way, and you can't get more simple than, you know, a guy with a guitar and singing. And what sold this, obviously, you know, this piece of music could have been chosen for The Mandalorian, which I'm a big fan of. Right. But the honesty, and what really sold it was the performance.
Absolutely. I don't mind telling you, I was tearing up again listening to that. Thank you so much, Ron, for giving us the gift of your music to listen to. I just enjoyed it again so much. I could listen to it over and over again. It's very, very touching to me. And what a great subject to sing about as well, and to talk about, especially for all of us it's touching, but especially for people who find it hard to acknowledge and connect to the softer side of their nature. Again, I just invite you to follow the links in the description. I'll put them all later, for they're not there yet for all the artists, but I'll put them after the show. And have a listen to some of those lyrics again. It's really, really very, very good, and I enjoyed it very much. I look forward very much to hearing more great music as we go into 2022. And, excuse me, I really was tearing up. And don't forget that if you would like to submit your music for myself and my guests to have a listen to and maybe give you some guidance or maybe just give you a pat on the back and congratulate you, then don't forget to follow the link in the description for that. This is going to be an ongoing show. There's no time limit at the moment. So I really looking forward to hearing some new fresh music in 2022, getting it on the show. And so now the format of the show has changed a little bit since we started out. At the beginning, it was intended for me to just highlight music that I thought just sounded great. But as I went on, I found it more useful to have a listen to some music that wasn't absolutely perfect, where we could give some useful guidance on the show from myself and my guests who combined, have some experience and some knowledge of these things and hopefully can help you out. And for those joining in the chat on the show and those watching on the replay, we can also learn ourselves from the comments which are being made about the music. So if you've got music which perhaps is not quite there yet, don't be scared to submit that for the show. I know we've heard some really great polished music in today's show, but don't be scared to submit music which still needs a bit of work. And if you just want some tips, you want some feedback on a mix, or maybe even on a performance, then we'd be happy to give it to you. And I know it's very brave to do that in a public forum, so I congratulate you in advance for doing that. So I want to thank everyone who's been here. If you've been watching the replay, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit that like button for me, by the way, so that YouTube knows it should show this to other people. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am going to go off and have a Christmas now. I will be releasing a video next week, but I won't be doing a live show next week. That will be in the new year. I heard a piece of music just before I went on air today. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to finish the show with this piece of music. It's entirely, in fact, written with virtual instruments. So it's a pretty good example of what can be done there. And it is from a highly, highly valued member of our community. And I know that he gets lots of pats on the back, and he deserves so, especially not just here, but also in the Facebook group. I think he's probably the most active member, and he's certainly the most helpful member, in my opinion, and many of you are very, very helpful in the Cakewalk group there on Facebook. But this gentleman is not only helpful, but he's very, very talented when it comes to creating a piece of music with virtual instruments. And I happened to hear this about 10 minutes before, 5-10 minutes before the show starts. And it's what I'm going to play out with today. So I'm not going to say goodbye after this. My goodbye is here now. But this piece of music, I'm not even sure what the title of it is. I can't remember. Of course, I should know that. But it's a wonderful example of what can be done with some virtual instruments, and it is from our very own Mimo Japan. And Merry Christmas to you, Mimo, and to everybody in the chat, and to all of my wonderful guests who have taken part in this show. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday period, and that you stay safe and treat each other kindly, and enjoy this little Christmassy piece of music from Mimo Japan.